Peace, infinite waters diving deep once again. This is Sexology, water, fire, hot, cold, yin, yang. And we're out with a special guest, Sharu. And how's everything?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. And relationships. I've been doing sexology for so long, and we need the feminine energy to tell us what women really want. Can't we both get along? Why do you think so many men and women just can't get along?
That's a really good question. I think a lot of people, at some point, we have to contemplate the answers. Why can't we get along? And I think that the sense of disharmony or disconnect that men and women have in relationships is really a reflection to a lot of disharmony that's taking place on a lot of other different levels. I think also it has to do with the fact that we have accumulated so much trauma and pain, and that is what has shaped our perception of the so-called, even our language, when we say the opposite sex, it's like we're pitted
it's the complementary sex.
Yeah, it's like we're pitted against each other from the very beginning. Even through our language, we say the opposite sex rather than the complementary sex. And I think a lot of it is really is beyond what we even have experienced in our lifetime. It's generational. It's been accumulated. Even some of what we think of as passed on wisdom from generation to generation, I think is sometimes further contributes to that misunderstanding we have of one another.
Right.
It's like as women, even like in some communities or societies, like the elder women will say, okay, well, this is how you deal with a man. This is how you win the heart of a man. This is how you make a man stay away from you. A lot of that has come from a place of like really seeing the complementary sex as this like different entity that we need to figure out.
Right. Because I've been doing sexology for so long, and it's just one big thing. So many women say their womb. They have so much energy. They're holding a lot of past energies from a relationship. Even in my own relationships I've been in, I realized that even for a lot of men as well, there's so much repression. And how do you think a lot of us can just free ourselves from that blocked up energy and that rigidness so many people have in relationships?
Well, in my own personal experience,
and why can't we just get along? It's like,
once again, that question
enough.
comes up. I think I've seen in my own personal journey and just speaking and looking at other women, we tend to hold a lot of tension in our womb. Even like whenever we feel angry or sad, we feel that part of us, like literally it tenses up, and we hold in a lot of that anger. And sometimes I think it's not just about not speaking out or expressing what's on your mind, but sometimes we even lack that self-conversation, just talking to ourselves, just processing through those emotions. We think if we just rant about it or if we just talk, then it's out of our system.
So do you think that diet has a part to play in terms of women's health, men's health, when you talk about sexuality and sexology in terms of just the interaction between male and female?
Of course, diet is a very important aspect of it. How we dress, our lifestyle. This very fast-paced, work-oriented lifestyle does not account for the fact that women need a certain time.
You're going around this city, you're going to be
exactly.
Crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And diet, lifestyle, the career-driven attitude in a lot of different societies that does not account for the fact that women and men need that time to like decompress, unwind, process through the different emotions. We go on accumulating a lot, and it starts to manifest. even just beyond the physical level of like seeing different
Right.
diseases and problems.
Because so many of us, we think everything is just 3D. If I can't see,
Yeah.
touch it, then it doesn't exist.
Yes.
And I feel a lot of women, they have this kind of inner knowing from their womb, the intuition.
Yes, but also we disconnected from that in a way. So it's sort of like it's trying to communicate something
Yeah.
to us. But we oftentimes suppress it. We think, and also the society, how we've been socialized. It's like, oh,
Right.
don't say I feel. I
Right.
feel this.
Don't
I feel
feel
this. I
anything.
think. Say I
Right.
think. Say I know. Say
Right.
I believe. But feeling, really, it is something that
And
stems
sex
from
is
the
dirty,
womb.
right? Sex is like if you have your menstrual cycle, or even if men who are masturbating when they're growing up, these things are seen as kind of filthy and dirty. We don't talk about them on the table.
Yes.
So do you feel, when you look at women's menstrual cycle, do you feel that the moon has a part to play, and what significance do you think it has?
Of course, and I see it. I mean, naturally, it's from
Because
my
I don't have a womb, so that's why people, when they say do sexology videos on the womb, this
You have a male womb.
I have a male womb, you know. That's
Yeah.
the thing.
Well, I think of course, I mean, it goes in sync with the cycle of the moon and everything in nature. But when we disconnect, or when we're living in a sense of disharmony, then we lose touch with that, and we start to also see it as something that's dreadful, and it's stopping me from being active, and I have this, pain and cramping, and what do I do? And we've, and of course, conventional medicine has added another layer
Right.
of like, okay, well, this is PMS, this is why you're acting this way, you're feeling this way, your emotions, your hormones, rather than seeing it as a time of cleansing and regeneration and really shedding of the old. I spoke to a lot of different women who say, think of every cycle you have as this opportunity or chance where one part, the dead and the old and what doesn't serve you is leaving your body. It's really a time to cleanse and regenerate, and it's all a matter of perspective. If you start to look at it with shame and you think like, oh, this is dirty, this is dreadful, then even I think you start to change things on a cellular level where
Right.
you're not manifesting a
Because
healthy and
in male
positive.
and female relationships, one thing I see is that we're being sold false images of what women are, of what males are. You have these magazines, women all glamorous, airbrushed, and a lot of them, you're flicking through the pages and you're like, no woman looks like that.
Yeah.
And how do you feel like so many women I've come into contact with, they always feel the pressure. I've got to put on makeup, I've got to be this kind of woman with no flaws, and a lot of guys also have really the wrong impressions of a lot of women they meet. They feel they're going to be this playboy pinup, and
I think sometimes we really underestimate the significance of what happens when we feed our senses with certain images. Like when we feed our eyes with constantly images that don't really match up with reality so much. It builds up this pressure and tension between men and women. From my own personal experience, and I've talked to a lot of women.
what do women want? That's all people want to know. What do women want? Do women want the guy with the big muscles and the bands, and because people always say the nice guys always finish last, and it's always the bad boys who get the hottest women, and women are attracted to treat them mean, keep them keen mentality.
I think a lot of those expressions and sayings really like further add to that whole misconception.
Right.
And also I know a lot of women are looking for I think as men and women we're all yearning for the same things ultimately, and looking for also a
What is
sense
that?
of
What is the same thing?
a sense of harmony and getting along.
Right.
I mean, of course,
Because a lot of women say they always end up with the same guy, and they just want to. They don't know why they keep ending up in this continuous cycle.
see, again, I think as women, this happens
And men as well.
often, and for men as well. It's because whenever leave a relationship, we've come with all these realizations about the relationship, but it really, a lot of it has very little to do with us and more to do with the other person. You know, like we come out of a relationship and say, yeah, it didn't work out. The person was a jerk, insensitive, cheated, was abusive, did this, did that. And
so the relationship is with ourselves first.
yes, exactly. First and foremost.
Have you got your own ring? Marry yourself first.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's the thing. I think if we always come out with realizations about the other person, but not so much a sense of inner reflection and realizing why we attracted this in the first place. And I know
Right.
a lot of women struggle with that notion. If you say, oh, you attracted this, a lot of women may feel very hurt or defensive and say, well, what do you mean? I attracted a jerk. Does that mean that I am? That
Right.
I'm that way? That I'm insensitive? And that is not what it means. It really what it is. I see even painful abusive relationships as an
Yeah.
opportunity for growth.
Yeah.
So you attract the person and they're mirroring to you something
get-
within yourself.
Right.
It
Right.
could be even just a sense of lack of self-love or not knowing how much you're really worth. And so
Yeah.
that person is just sort of putting it under a
Amplifying it.
magnifying
Right.
glass, you know?
Definitely. Well, there's just so much we can go on and on, but it's beautiful. This is the feminine energy, because I'm always doing sexology, and this is, don't complain, because this is the feminine energy womb priestess who is really, all of these. Yeah, this is how it is. Infinite waters with beautiful Sharu diving deep once again. Peace.